What if I told you that 2,000 years ago, we weren't really human? That something inside us, something ancient and dangerous, had to die before we could truly become what we are today? This isn't mythology. This is the forgotten truth, buried under centuries of lies, silence, and evolution. And it begins not with civilization, but with a scream in the dark 2,000 years ago. The forests were older than kingdoms. Fire was no longer a gift, it was a weapon. And man wasn't yet a man 2,000 years ago. Before we became human, the wind howled through the ancient forest like a wounded animal, twisting the tall trees into shadows that danced beneath a pale half-lit sky. There were no roads, no written words, no names carved into stone, only survival. And Kael knew it better than most. He crouched low in the underbrush, eyes like burning coal, watching a deer drink from the edge of a muddy stream. His body was liane, carved by hunger and hardened by war. Scars crisscrossed his back, each one earned in brutal silence. He was not a man of words, he had none. Only growls, grunts, and instinct, the language of predators. When he finally lunged forward with a sharpened stone, he moved without thought like a beast. The deer screamed, kicked once, then fell. Kael sank his teeth into raw meat before the blood stopped flowing. He didn't kill for pleasure. He killed to stay alive on those days. That's all there was. Kael was from a tribe that lived between the river's edge and the jagged cliffs. They didn't build homes. They hid in caves. They didn't farm or think about tomorrow. They took what they could today and punished those who stood in the way. Kindness was weakness. Mercy was death. And Kael had no room for either. But there was something off about Kael. Even his own tribe felt it. When he stared at fire too long, when he didn't laugh at suffering, when he looked up at the stars as if he understood they meant something he didn't know why. He only knew he wasn't like the others. Back at camp, the others grunted and passed around meat. Children fought over scraps. An old man coughed blood into the dirt, ignored by all. Kael sat apart, sharpening his stone, listening to the fire crackle. Then Asha approached him. She always did. She wasn't like the others either. Her eyes were quiet but sharp. She didn't carry weapons, but she noticed things. She once pointed at the sky and whispered a sound Kael didn't understand. Mun. The tribe laughed, but she kept whispering it every time the moon rose. She began drawing in the dirt, circles, lines, patterns that made no sense. Once Kael saw her carve a spiral on a flat stone. He picked it up, confused by how the design made him feel. It meant something, but he didn't know what. Asha's belly had begun to swell. Kael's child. He didn't celebrate it. He didn't even know how. When the others mocked her skywards, Kael didn't defend her, but he didn't laugh either. That was his way of protecting her. One night, their son was born during a thunderstorm. The sky tore open like a mouth screaming in rage. The baby wailed. Kael stared at him like he was staring at fire for the first time. Fragile, small, alive, but barely. The boy was sickly, his breath rattling. In the old ways, he'd be left outside to die, but Asha held him tight and rocked him gently, humming something low and ancient, a tune, a pattern. Music. Kael didn't understand the song, but his son stopped crying. Later that night, Kael stood alone at the edge of the cliff. The sky above him was endless, cold, silent. He felt something rise. In him, not rage, not hunger, something he couldn't name. His hand trembled, his breath caught. Was it fear? No, it was grief. He had seen men die, killed them himself. But this child, this fragile, failing thing, his blood made Kael feel like he was standing on the edge of something enormous. Like the world was bigger than just kill or be killed, and that terrified him. In that moment, Kael remembered watching a wolf die months ago. It had been a powerful beast, all teeth and fury. But when its mate was killed, the wolf howled in anger, but in loss. The sound haunted Kael. It echoed in his mind now, because Kael wasn't sure he could kill the part of him that wanted to care. That night, while the others slept, Asha placed their baby beside Kael. The firelight flickered across their faces. She didn't speak, only watched him. Kael stared down at the child, who coughed weakly and blinked up at him. Something shifted in Kael's chest. He didn't know it then, but evolution had just happened, not in his body, in his mind. The part of Kael that only knew violence was still there, but it had begun to shrink. The beast inside his bones, the one that had survived through dominance and fury, was now sharing space with something new. Compassion. He reached out and gently touched his son's cheek. The baby didn't flinch. Kael's hands, once used for killing, were soft in that moment, trembling, uncertain. He didn't roar. He didn't fight. He simply watched. And in that watching, humanity was born. The tribe found fire. But Asha found language when she bled during childbirth and survived. She didn't just cry, she sang. The sound confused the tribe. Music wasn't useful. It couldn't hunt, couldn't fight. Kael should have silenced her. But when she sang, their sick son stopped crying that night. Something broke inside Kael. He looked at his son's small, fragile hand. He didn't feel shame. He didn't feel fear. He felt grief. For the first time, Kael wept, not for pain, but for love. And in that tear, evolution happened quietly, because in that one moment, the beast lost ground. When rival hunters attacked, Kael fought like a demon, but when he returned, Asha and the child were gone, taken. In the old world, Kael would have raged, hunted, killed blindly. But something was different now. He thought, he waited, he watched their patterns. He planned on, and then he lit their camp on fire, not to destroy but to distract. He crept in, found his son shivering in a fur sack. He didn't roar. He didn't slaughter. He carried the boy and ran the next morning. The tribe saw smoke in the distance and asked if Kael had killed them all. He said, "No, I chose not to." The elders called it weakness, but the young called it wisdom. Years passed. Kael's son grew, but not like him. The boy was gentle, curious. He painted stories on cave walls. He asked why the moon followed them. He hugged Kael even when he was angry, and one day, Kael sat before the fire again, not to protect, not to fear, but to listen. Asha placed her hand on his and whispered, "We are becoming something new." And in that moment, the beast inside, Kael, the one that survived by dominance, died. What replaced it was something softer, but stronger. It could build, imagine, love, and sacrifice. That day, Kael didn't evolve, he became human.